The other thing that's really remarkable, the last 30 years of China, they have had real economic growth at a rate for 30 years that no big country has ever had before in the history of the world. And who did that? A bunch of communist Chinese. Now that is really remarkable. So if you're studying finance, you got a lot of strange things to account for.
So Bob Riesenthal, who is a PhD 1979 from aeronautical engineering, asked, so how would you rate investing in China with the current political tensions? Or you invested in China through the ownership of American companies that do business in China?
Well, of course I'm invested partly in American companies that do business in China, including Coca-Cola. But I'm also invested very significantly in China through the management of Li Lu, whom the Munger family backed heavily when he formed a little private equity firm to invest in China. And he has had a very successful record, and that's made me follow very closely the leading companies in China. And of course, I've had very successful experience there. And I think it's likely to continue. The Chinese story is the damnedest thing that, it's the damnedest thing that ever happened to a big country in terms of economics. No other big country ever got ahead this fast for that long.
And does that say that sort of the politics don't matter so much, or?
Yeah, it does. That's a very interesting observation. What that shows is exactly right. Who would have guessed that a bunch of communist Chinese run by one party would have the best economic record that the world has ever seen? Of course it's extreme. And I think it proves that, it doesn't, we Americans would like to think that our free expression and allowing all kinds of opinion and all kinds of criticism of the government is totally essential part of the economy. And what the Chinese have proved is you can have a screamingly successful economy with a fairly controlling government. All the government has to do is create a lot of Smithian capitalism. And if you do that, having a sort of a controlling one-party government doesn't matter. That's not a fashionable thing to say, but I think it's true.
So for those of us who can't only rely on that form of growth, Zach Rifkin, who's a Bachelor of Science 2014 in math, asked, how do you encourage young mentees to take big bets on big edges? And how should this be taught at Caltech?
Well, if you ask, how could Caltech teach people how to win chess tournaments or poker tournaments, you would find that some people at Caltech are very good at that and others aren't. And if you want to win at those things, you better bet on the people that are really very good at it. And not everybody is. I don't think Caltech can make great investors out of most people. I think great investors to some extent are like great chess players. They're almost born to be investors.
And that's because of the tolerance for risk? Is it the patience? What are the traits of a great investor?
Yeah, obviously, you have to know a lot. But partly it's temperament. Partly it's deferred gratification. You got to be willing to wait. It's a weird, good investing requires a weird combination of patience and aggression. And not many people have it. It also it requires a big amount of self-awareness and how much you know and how much you don't know. You have to know the edge of your own competency. And a lot of brilliant people are no good at knowing the edge of their own competency. They think they're way smarter than they are. And of course, that's dangerous and causes trouble. So I think Caltech would have a hard time teaching everybody to be a great investor.
But could it help people discover that they have that temperament? Or is this something that you mostly should try on your own?
I think you find out whether you got the qualities to win at poker by playing poker.
That's a very empirical approach, Charlie.
Yes, but I think it's right.
So
obviously it helps to know the basic math of Fermat and Pascal. But everybody with any sense knows that stuff. But having the temperament where Fermat and Pascal are as much part of you as your ear and nose, that's a different kind of a person. And I think it's hard to teach that. I have found, Warren and I have talked about this. In the early days, when we talked about our way of doing things, which was working so well, we found some people got it and they instantly converted to our way and did very well. And some people, no matter how carefully we explained it, and no matter how successful they were, they could never learn they could never adapt it. They either got it fast or they didn't get it at all. So that's my experience.
By far the best investment you can make is in yourself. If you invest in yourself, nobody can take it away from you.